Welcome back everyone. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Logitech MX Master 3 mouse that came out a few years ago and see how it holds up in 2022. Now what I will definitely tell you is this is a very solid mouse, and if it's the only mouse that you're going to buy, or if you're just considering any mouse to pick up, this is a pretty decent option. I mean, it's not like the craziest best build quality, but for a mouse, it's in really good condition, and I do think it's actually a very solid option for you. So if you want to pick one of these things up, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there. You can help support the channel at the same time. Now with this specific mouse, we have a little bit of an interesting design. This is pretty much familiar with a lot of the, kind of office tier and professional type of mouses that have been coming out recently, at least in the last like 5-10 years. Before we had like, the magic mouses and those type of things, but this thing arguably gives you way more functionality within it than even like a magic mouse, for example. Now there's no glass touchpad on this thing or anything like that, but the amount of functionality behind a mouse like this is actually really, really awesome. Now a cool thing with the Logitech MX Master 3 is that it works very, very well with Mac and Windows. So any operating system that you're rocking for the most part, you'll be able to actually utilize it with this specific mouse, which is really cool. With the Magic Mouse, it doesn't have like its full feature set on Windows, which is kind of disappointing unless you like modify it a little bit. With something like this mouse, you have all the features built in, which is really, really cool. Now on the top and looking around of this specific mouse, in the front of it, we actually have a USB Type-C port, which is really cool. So you can use this thing while you're actually charging it, unlike some other mouses that we own. Now that is without a doubt one of my favorite things about this type of mouse. I'm more like a trackpad type of person myself, but if I'm using a mouse, I don't want to have to worry about charging it and having to not use it while I charge it. That's actually very, very annoying. And in this specific case, we don't really have that, which is actually really cool. So that in and of itself is really nice. And it's USB Type-C, it's not even micro USB, which is really cool. Now on the top, we do have the Mag Speed wheel, which is what they call it. Now I feel like I'm going to keep calling it Mag Safe, but it's the Mag Speed wheel, and this actually allows you to go ahead and scroll through pages. I think most people probably know it by now. You can click into it if you want to, and what's really, really satisfying is you can just pretty much go ahead and just scroll through and just kind of zip it around, and it goes and zooms by so fast, and it's so satisfying to do it. It's a little annoying sometimes, I'm sure, if you do it for a long period of time to coworkers or people around you, but it's really nice, and that's another thing I really like. Now you have the right click and left click buttons that you can go ahead and map to different things if you're on different operating systems, so that's a really cool thing too. You also have a little button over here, which is the mode shift button. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to quickly toggle between ratchet and free spin mode. So that's another really cool thing too. Now on the side of this mouse, we actually have a really interesting thing. So we have something called a thumb wheel. Now what is a thumb wheel? Well, this actually allows you to scroll horizontally on the page. So with the Mag Speed wheel, you can scroll up and down. This thumb wheel allows you to go ahead and scroll side to side from a page. So this is another really cool advantage that we have on a mouse like this. So not only can we zoom up and down or scroll up and down, we can scroll side to side as well, which that in and of itself is really cool. We also have an LED light right next to it. And right below that, we have a back and forward button. So we can go and quickly toggle between pages if we want to, and that's another really cool feature that we have. And that kind of covers up the majority of the things you're going to be using on a mouse. Now we all know when we're going through actually utilizing the mouse, within our OS that we're using, or Mac or Windows, whatever we're using, it's going to be exactly the same thing. I don't really think it's going to be that big of a difference. It gives you the same functionality as really any other mouse. But there's some really cool things about this specific mouse that I actually like a lot. And another cool thing that we have is actually with the bottom of this specific mouse. So what we're actually allowed to do for the most part is actually go ahead and toggle a few different modes on this specific mouse. So we can go ahead and connect it to, I think, 3 different specific devices at the same time. So if we want, we can click on this button and we can go and toggle it from one device to the other. So we can quickly just fast switch from one device to the other, which is really cool. I will say the build quality of this mouse, it doesn't feel extremely cheap, but I will say compared to something like a Magic Mouse, it doesn't feel as premium. I really don't think it's a deal breaker, but if you want, this is not a uncomfortable feeling mouse. It feels really, really good, and if you're using it for prolonged periods of time, I think this is a really comfortable feeling, mouse. Now my hands aren't crazy, I would say I have about average feeling and average looking hands, if you want to believe that or not. And with something like this mouse, it does feel pretty good in the hands, which, personally, compared to the Magic Mouses, it may not feel like the most premium thing, but it's still a really good feeling mouse. In terms of battery life, Logitech actually mentions that this thing can go 70 days on a full charge, and it takes about 3 hours and it gives you about 3 hours of charge time from 1 minute of charging, which is actually pretty insane. And like I mentioned, this does take USB Type-C. So personally, I like being able to go ahead and pretty much have something like this specific mouse laying around just in case, for its long period of time. I mean, this is like over 2 months you can just have it sitting there, and that's from using it. If you're not even using it, I'm sure it's going to last way longer than that. And like I mentioned, having that little easy switch option enabled, you can go ahead and switch from macOS to Windows to Linux on this specific mouse too, and that's another really cool advantage. Now, there's not a lot to hate on this type of mouse. Like I mentioned, I'm not really a mouse type of person. I prefer things like trackpads and even like the Microsoft one or Dell one that they made too. I like those type of, ways to communicate with my device rather than a mouse. But if I have to choose a mouse, and if I'm using something like a Mac or Windows or whatever, this is a really solid option. And if you want a mouse that's going to last for quite a bit of time, this is a mouse that's probably one that you're probably going to look into, and I'll probably recommend buying it. I think it's still completely worth it in 2022. There can be a successor of this thing coming out very, very soon, but as of right now, this is still a very solid option, and honestly, I would probably recommend buying it right now. So that kind of covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that means so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.